Bonehead guitars. Let's go build some junk. That's right. It's time for fretting. Now, this is a real milestone for me. We bought this bundle of fret wire from StewMac some time ago, and it has lasted through quite a few guitars, but I'm down to the last two pieces, which may not quite be enough for one guitar. So, we're going to find out. I think, best as I remember, it usually takes just a little bit more than that, but that means we have wiped out one tube, which is not a problem because I very recently ordered, ta-da, a new bundle, which should last a good long while. So, we can pull another strand out of that if we really need to. Anywho, set this in here, if I can pull it off after half a bottle of rum. Now, I don't mean to shit talk. I'm sure that the StewMac fret wire bender is a really nice tool. But ever since I put this together, just hoping I could put it together, it seems to do what I need it to pretty good. So, pretty well, I guess you should say. Number 13, halfway there. Because that, ladies and gentlemen, is number 12. Alright, I've done half of these already. This is not a particularly fun job, but it's not that bad either, just a little tedious. I like to lay it in place so I can get an idea of how much tang needs to get nipped off, and try to kind of undershoot how much you're going to need to chop off, because just like hair, you can cut it off, but you can't put it back on. And I'll put it down and see what it looks like, and that is almost the full width of the fret slot, which, I mean, you can see it's radiused slightly more than the boards. When you hammer it in there, that's going to spread, so you need the tang to be a little bit shorter than the fret slot itself, and that ought to be good. Of course, when you get it real close, that means you got to be real careful about centering it when it's actually time to plant it. But along we go. Fretting is such a tedious job. And then make sure I got my tang centered. Nice. Good whack on either side. And then lightly work out from the center. And give it some good whacks. Then nip the ends off almost flush. What I try to do is make sure that I leave enough meat. I'll put the clippers up there and then angle them slightly away from the top of the fretboard, so I can nip off most of it, but not all of it. I want the file to do the final bit. And yeah, someday I want to be cool and actually have a fret press. But until then, we're stuck with hammers, so. Alright, I did it after the first 5, and of course down here, 5 frets is not very far apart, but I've done 6 since then. generally, I don't know, it just seems to make it easier, and initially I started doing it just because I hate this job, so take a break from fretting for a little bit and do something different. But after I get a few of them, I will go ahead and file them flush with the board. We're almost flush. I don't really want to do all of it because once they're all in there, we want to do it all for all of them at the same time, so we can make sure they're good and even. And yeah, but and honestly, I don't know if that's even necessary. Probably not. I mean, I've seen people that, do it with a file one at a time, so I don't know. It's just what I do. I figured it would be better if in the end you do the final on all of them so you have a nice straight line, but whatever, to each his own. Okay, now we've got them all. Now should be flush. Now we can put just a little bit of bevel. Now do this. I'm always scared I'm going to make a mess with my file, so just to make sure I don't clip the ears, or if I do, I hit plastic and it doesn't matter. I like to put that in place. Okay. Next will be level and crown and dress and polish and on and on and on, and then we'll be done. Yay! It needs to be done at least once, but I did it many times because I was concerned about making sure that it actually was nice and flat without any tension on the truss rod. The reason I say that is because now that it's time to level the frets, is now the time that you want to make sure that the board is absolutely as flat as it can possibly be, so that your fret leveling does a true job to the frets. That was the long way of saying, I already made sure the board's flat. Now, this big fat ass Sharpie is really nice for this. High points are fine because you can file them off. Low points, that means you got to file off everybody else, which kind of sucks, but I believe from my little makeshift rocker that we do have at least one low point. And I couldn't tell you exactly how low it is, but now I have generally in the past used my Crimson leveling beam, which is awesome because it's machined nice and flat, but it's also only like 8 inches long, so that's a little less than ideal. I also have, with a much more aggressive grit, a piece of mahogany that I know is jointed absolutely nice and flat. With this one I had 220 over here and I think 600 grit on this side. I think what I'm going to do is start with this one, which is a higher grit, which I'm guessing that's like 150 maybe, but it's fairly worn. But the important part about it is longer than the board its actual self, so and with such a rough grit, I'm putting 0 pressure on it. There are only a few places up here on the base side where I don't see some wear on the marker. I can see some places, like on this fret, which must have been kind of low, and parts of this one, where the part we have ground off is not a lot. And there are frets like this one, where what we ground off is relatively significant. So, I think we've done an adequate job. Basically, I will go at it with, not exactly flat, just a little bit of angle. Try to follow the radius. And we should have a razor thin line of marker left. That's what we're looking for. So ideally it should be perfectly centered right on the middle of that fret. And just think, only 21 more frets to go. Thanks for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed it. Like this video, go subscribe. Meet me back here next time. We got more stuff to do.